Thanks for watching Exclusive with Taghreed Hussein here on Nile TV International. It's a great pleasure and honor to host His Excellency Ambassador Domenico, Singapore's ambassador to Egypt. Your Excellency, thank you so much for joining Nile TV International and starting off with this important and significant Egyptian-Singaporean Business Forum.
Well, first I think I need to point out to your viewers, and not many people know about it, that Singapore companies are the fourth biggest foreign investor from Asia, from East Asia. So we have more than $1 billion of investments in Egypt, and we are active in shipping, in logistics, in food processing, agriculture, and many other sectors. So, and our companies provide jobs for thousands of people and also support thousands of other families, who sell things to the companies. So I think we Singapore companies are doing well to support Egypt's economy and Egypt's development. So I thought it would be useful to organize this Egypt-Singapore Business Forum to let the people know that Singapore is doing big things for the Egyptian economy, and also to let the Singapore companies meet Egyptian businesses and companies to network, and also to meet various heads of departments of the Egyptian government, so that it makes it easier for them to do business. And our companies provide thousands of jobs and provide support to thousands more families of the farmers who supply the Singapore companies. So I thought, so Minister and I thought that it would be useful for the Singapore companies here in Egypt to network with their Egyptian counterparts. So this idea of the Egypt-Singapore Business Forum was formed, and I'm so happy that the Minister Baid could spare time from his busy schedule to be here.
Presenting an opportunity to talk about issues of mutual interest to the business community from Egypt and Singapore, as well as to explore new paths for cooperation and the enhancement of private partnership between private sector in both countries. Allow me at the outset to confirm that in Egypt, at the official level, we are keen to strengthen and develop all aspects our relationship with Singapore. The exchange of presidential visits remain a proof of our sincere determination in this regard. In addition, your presence and the investment in Egypt alongside our gathering this evening reflects the ties linking our countries since the launch of diplomatic relations in 1966.
Egypt and Singapore enjoy distinctive bilateral relations.
Yes, definitely, and our political relations are very strong. As you know, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi went to Singapore in 2015, and this was to celebrate our 50 years of diplomatic relations between the two countries. And then the Singapore President, Dr. Tony Tan at that time, came to Egypt in 2016. So relations are very good, excellent at the highest levels. And earlier this year, the Foreign Minister, Sameh Shukri, went to Singapore in March. And our Senior Minister, Mr. Teo Chee Hean, came to Egypt later. And then more recently, our Minister of Environment, Dr. Grace Fu, came to Egypt for the COP Summit. So I think our relations are excellent.
Your Excellency, the sense of cooperation extends to more than one field, and trade and industry are considered to be a very important field of cooperation between Egypt and Singapore.
Yes, as we know, trade and industry is one of the most important sectors of cooperation, since we are the fourth biggest investor from East Asia. But we have also other areas of cooperation, such as in student affairs. For example, we have 250 students from Singapore studying in Al-Azhar. So this is a big community, and we thank Egypt, for looking after them and for all the friendships that they make. I mean, they really enjoy to be in Egypt, and they have told me many times that, if they have the chance, they would like to stay a bit longer in Egypt, just to make more friends and to understand the culture more.
It's great that Singapore students are really enjoying their stay here in Egypt and studying at Al-Azhar, and we're working together in order to boost people-to-people relations. How about the field of tourism, Ambassador?
Yes, exactly. And before I go to tourism, I should also mention that Dr. Muhammad Mamdouh went to Singapore recently, and he's the president of the Egyptian Youth Council. And I know that there were some discussions regarding more people-to-people cooperation at the youth level. And with regards to tourism, I think now that both countries, Egypt and Singapore, have lifted the COVID restrictions, the tourists are coming back. I do not have the statistics right now, but I do know that the number of Singapore tourists coming to Egypt is increasing. In fact, just last month, my mother was here visiting, and that was a long time that she last came, because of the COVID. And next month I will have some friends coming also. So there are lots of people coming now.
It's great to see this sense of movement, and talking further about the investment climate in Egypt and what sort of incentives that Egypt provides for Singaporean businessmen.
Well, first let me thank Dr. Mohammed Maid, the Minister of Finance, for agreeing to be our guest of honor this evening. And I'm sure he will tell us more about government's efforts to improve the business climate and to be more investor friendly, and to share with us all the incentives and measures that they are taking to attract more investments to Egypt. In fact, based on my discussions with Singapore companies, many of them do not have any major problems here, and they enjoy good business in Egypt and good conditions. So I'm aware that the government under President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is doing a lot to promote investments, to make the environment for investors much better, and to cut the bureaucracy and the red tape, and to make it easier for investors to come into the country. And I have experienced it myself because the last few days I was with some potential investors visiting GAFI, Egyptian Commercial Service, Ministry of Trade and Industry, and the Suez Canal Zone. And the impression that I got from all these people that I met is that they are really keen and really active in promoting business in Egypt. So I think that investors, when they come, they will face a very friendly environment and a very active Egyptian government willing to help them to set up business here in Egypt.
COP27 was definitely a great opportunity for brainstorming, for talking climate action, for talking further how can we explore solutions for planet Earth. And Singapore's minister was here and collaborated definitely and shared in the discussions concerning climate action. Let us talk further, Ambassador, about the fruits of COP27 and what's next, what's afterwards concerning the mechanism of work regarding fruitful success. It was really a great success in Egypt.
Well, of course, COP was a great success, and it was good that the ministers reached an agreement, a late agreement, but still it was a great agreement, especially since the countries agreed to put loss and damage on the table. So this is a great victory for the developing world and for Africa and for Egypt in general. In terms of COP, I see that there are three tracks. First, there's the government track. There's the business track that is happening in all the pavilions outside of the negotiating room, and there's the civil society. The civil society will continue to raise awareness and to lobby for more action by the governments. I mean, that is the job of the civil society, to push the agenda. But what I find that most exciting is what is happening in the business sphere. Because in the business sphere, people are introducing new ideas, new technologies, new ways of doing business, and new ways of producing energy, of tracking carbon, of reducing carbon, of financing green projects. So I think all of these different tracks fit together and will help us to deal with the climate catastrophe.
Ambassador, we're approaching New Year. Happy New Year 2023. And definitely there are future prospects of cooperation between both countries, Egypt and Singapore.
Yes, definitely. So I hope to see more Singapore businesses come to Egypt next year. I hope that we can announce some new investments in Egypt in the coming months. And I hope that we will have more ministerial visits from Singapore as well as from Egypt going to Singapore. So I think on the whole, I think we will have a good 2023. And also, of course, I hope for more tourists to come.
Investing in the youth under the leadership of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Egypt invests in the youth. The World Youth Forum had been a great opportunity for youth around the world to share ideas and opening new opportunities. How about this field of training youth and cooperation in that respect?
Well, currently we do not have that. I mean, apart from the students who come to study at Al-Azhar, currently we don't have any formalized training mechanisms between Egypt and Singapore in terms of the youth and the people to people. But let us work on this, inshallah.
Your Excellency, if you would kindly tell us more about how to market Singapore globally through Nile TV International and the most beautiful destinations in Singapore.
Well, Singapore, I think, is a great place for you to base yourself if you want to explore Asia. So in Singapore, you will find a very comfortable environment, safe, easy to get around, and great food, great shopping. And from Singapore, you have connections to all parts of Asia. So, I would say, don't just stop in Singapore and see the airport. come out and see the city and meet the people and taste our food. I think we have excellent food in Singapore.
Excellency Ambassador Dominique Go, Singapore's ambassador to Egypt, thank you so much for joining Nile TV International. Always a pleasure, Ambassador.
Thank you for this great interview. Thank you.
And thank you, dear viewers, for joining us. That was exclusive with Taghreed Hussein, exploring Singapore, and long live our relations, Egypt and Singapore.